Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, yesterday there was a testimony, as you know, before the Senate, and what came out of there was a bunch of finger pointing. Everybody pointed a finger at somebody else. Everybody was making excuses and alibis, and the American public is obviously outraged. I'm outraged. It's very difficult to believe a lot of the things that we're hearing. I want to ask some very basic questions because we've gone into a lot of the technical things and we've gone on and on. Generally, we've been told for the past several years in Congress that offshore drilling is safe, that we needn't worry about what happens. If there is any kind of an accident, don't worry because there are backup systems and there's a backup system for the backup system. And then we find out that none of this is true. If there have been improvements in drilling techniques through the years, why apparently have there been no corresponding improvements in preventing oil spills? Or is it there's simply no ironclad way to prevent spills like these in the future? Is that what you're telling us? Mr. McKay.
This has been an unprecedented event. In the Gulf of Mexico alone, there have been over 42,000 wells drilled in the last 50 years, and this is an unprecedented event. We've got to learn what caused this and what to do to make sure this doesn't happen again, and we're dedicated to do that, and I know the committee is as well. All I can say is the industry has been safe and been clean for quite a while, and this is an unprecedented event we've got to figure out.
But, Mr. McKay, I will bet that I could dig up congressional testimony after the Exxon Valdez mess, where people literally said the same thing that you're just saying now, that this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It cannot happen again. I mean, we were told it cannot happen again, what happened up in Alaska in 1989. So why should we believe you any more than we could have believed those people that told us the same thing after the Exxon Valdez spill in Alaska?
My confidence is because I think we're going to figure out what caused this, both the events that caused the explosion as well as why the blowout preventer didn't work. I think we will solve this, and that will allow us to be safer going forward.
Would any of the other gentlemen care to comment?
I think all of us are committed to trying to find out what did take place and put the steps in place that are necessary to make this a safer and sounder future for us in terms of oil and gas exploration.
There's currently a $75 million liability cap, and I understand, Mr. McKay, you said BP has not adhered to that. You're going higher. Is that true?
That's true. We'll go over that if needed. Absolutely.
Should the cap be raised? I know Senator Menendez has introduced legislation to raise it to $10 billion. Should we just lift the cap? Is that something that Congress should consider?
I was asked that question yesterday. I don't know the specifics of that legislation, and I would just say it's not relevant in this case.
We have an 8-cent a barrel tax assessed to oil companies, and proceeds go into a cleanup service. Should that tax be modified, and should that money be spent differently?
I think that'll just have to be reviewed in the context of what we learned through this.
How about an administration proposal to split the minerals management service into two parts, one with oversight responsibilities for the oil industry and another that would provide drilling leases and collect federal royalties on the operations? Do you have any comments on that, or support or oppose it, and why?
I don't have any specific comments on that.
Anybody else?
No specific comments other than to say that that is not an unusual process in a number of foreign jurisdictions.
I just want to say in conclusion that I'm just really agitated and aggravated. Nobody in this room, and certainly the four of you, didn't want this to happen. Nobody wanted this to happen. This is a terrible tragedy. But when we get assurances from the oil industry year in and year out that this cannot happen and that we should drill, baby, drill, and we should keep expanding the drilling, and then the worst actually happens, I just don't know how we could ever believe anything that we hear from the oil industry. it just boggles my mind as to how this could happen, and 20 years from now there'll be another Congress sitting here, and there'll be another oil spill, and they'll be saying the same things that you gentlemen are saying now. I'm not convinced, and I'm frankly very, very angry. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.